Welcome to the 12 Report with Blessings Mosugu, and these are the headlines. Federal government warns of deadlier floods as rainy season peaks. Lassa community protests students' abduction as parents seek government intervention. Russian drone and missile assault on Kiev kills 13, leaves more than 30 injured. We have our reporters stationed in different parts of the country and beyond. We have Stephen Enoch, who is standing by in Kano, Mono Balagbubu, who is live in Kogi, while Afia Hagen is standing by in the UK. We've got the details in a moment. 49 days after the abduction of school children and teachers in Oriire local government area of Oyo State, families are still waiting for answers as uncertainty over their fate deepens. The last confirmed contact came through the school principal who appeared in a viral video from captivity, conveying the kidnappers' demands before all communication stopped. Since then, relatives have gathered daily in the hope of receiving updates, but none has come, leaving many fearful as the wait drags on. Authorities say search and rescue operations remain active and have urged residents to stay vigilant and provide credible information that could assist security agencies. Meanwhile, the federal government has welcomed the suspension of the Oyo State teachers' strike, describing it as a victory for dialogue and a major step toward restoring uninterrupted learning in public schools. The resolution followed talks involving the Federal Ministry of Education, the Oyo State government, and the Nigerian Union of Teachers. Education Minister Dr. Tunji Alausa praised Governor Seyi Makinde and union leaders for resolving the dispute through dialogue. In Borno State, Lassa community residents are protesting over the abduction of students during the recent terrorist attack on Government Day Secondary School in Lassa, as their parents are making emotional appeal to President Bola Tinubu to intensify efforts to secure the safe return of their children and a remaining teacher. News Central's Umoru Kirawa completes the report.
Lassa community members display signs as they protest over the abducted student sitting for NECO examinations at GDSS Lassa in Askira Uba of Borno State. They will not allow Borno State government officials to address them as they demand the rescue of their children.
Allah ya fitar mana da su. Da taimakon mai girma gwamna, shugabanmu muna roko. Mun kuma yarda mun ba da gaskiya cewa za ku yi mana yaki ‘ya'yanmu su dawo.
We are begging them to look forward the way that they can bring our children back. That's our only problem that we're facing. And as of now, we are calling upon the government to give us enough security because we don't want to miss school in our area.
The officials conveyed the condolences of Governor Babagana Zulum and assured residents that the state is pushing for the release of all those missing.
So far, one teacher is late, one teacher critically injured, and another teacher missing, with 36 students missing, 25 females, 11 male students. So it's quite unfortunate. Assurance have been given to us by the security services that rescue would be carried out soon.
The Emir of Uba, Samaila Mamza II, urged the government not to relent until every child and teacher is rescued.
Bayan Allah Ubangiji sai gwamnati. Gwamnati ne za mu saurare su. Gwamnati ne za mu roke su. Kuma Allah Ubangiji kayan nan su dawo. Amma banda a kawo wani hayaniya, babu da hayaniya zai kawo.
Officials of the Borno State government also visited the intensive care unit of Federal Medical Center, Mobi, in Adamawa State to sympathize and support the injured teacher who survived the attack.
He came in a bad state, but somehow, fortunately, we have reactivated our trauma center, the ICU. And is one of the few first beneficiaries of this. So far, he is a bit stable.
The visit formed part of the state government's continued engagement with victims' families following the attack, which has drawn widespread condemnation across the country. From Askira Uba Local Government for News Central, Umoru Kirawa.
Meanwhile, tragedy has deepened following the abduction of Government Day Secondary School, Lassa, in Borno State. This follows the death of a teacher, Goni Shatima, days after receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of the Federal Medical Center, Mubi, Adamawa State. Meanwhile, Jacinta Ayuba, the daughter of one of the abducted teachers, is appealing for urgent intervention following the kidnapping of her mother, alongside 36 students who were sitting for the NECO examinations. The latest developments have heightened concerns over the safety of students and teachers in the affected community. In the meantime, Borno State government officials, led by the Commissioner of Education, Lawan Wakibe, are in Gwoza to sympathize with the family of Bukar Ishaku, the teacher who was killed during the attack on Government Day Secondary School, Lassa. The delegation is also expected to reassure residents of the government's commitment to supporting affected families and strengthening efforts to secure the safe return of the abducted students and staff. News Central's Umaru Kirawa has been monitoring the development and now joins us for more. Umaru Kirawa, if you can hear us, it's a sad situation, but we won't let us rob off the opportunity to wish you a happy birthday. I hope that you're enjoying today, and I know that you're reporting on a very sad situation, but how has your day been, very quickly?
Well, today is a very painful day. Although, yes, it's my birthday, but it's one of the painful experiences I had in recent times with regard to experiencing the terrain, the pain of the families that these terrorists have murdered, and the situation of children crying, calling on the government to intensify efforts to ensure the rescue of their families, the teachers, and so many other children that are still in captivity, 36 of them, and one of the teachers, Alferina Ilia. And presently, if you can see behind me, we are presently at Hausari area in Gwoza local government area of Borno State, where one of the teachers who was killed on Monday by the terrorists during the attack at Government Day Secondary School, Lassa, was killed. The families are mourning here at the family residence of Bukar Isiaku, and we will be taking you into the house to speak with some of the family members that are mourning the death of their loved one. And we have, you can see, these are the family members of the deceased, and we'll be speaking with Baba da Farko. Da farko ka gaya mana cikakken sunanka.
Sunana Bashir Mohammed Ahmed, mazaunin Forza.
Okay. To ya muka ji da hakuri kuma ya kuke ciki yanzu?
To hakuri din na zama dole tunda hanya ne na kowa, mutuwa kuma wajibi ne akan kowane dan adam. A gaskiya wannan fitowar bike ya girgiza mu sosai saboda shi ma ya tashi a maraya kuma yanzu gashi ya bar mana marayu, wanda in banda ubangijin Allah madaukakin sarki da kuma talafin al'umma mai saman, zai kira ga gwamnatin tarayya har zuwa state har local government, muna so don Allah a dubi rayuwar yaran nan da ido rahama, saboda mu kanmu ma yanzu haka muna zama displaced people ne, because ba mu da hanyar da za mu je mu nemi abinci balle mu yi maintaining kanmu ma. Yanzu tafu daya ba mu isa mu je daji mu nemi abinci ko itace ba, muna nan a cikin kaiwai da ramu.
Kamar yanzu gwamnati akwai abin da ta gaya muku tun da rasuwar nashi, akwai wani abin da kuka ji daga gwamnati ko sun zo ko akwai abin da suka muku?
Yanzu banda zuwan ku nan ba, Allah ya saka muku da alheri kuma Allah ya mai da ku gidajen ku lafiya da kuka nuna concern ba. Babu abin da gwamnati ya gaya mana. Kuma gaskiya muna kira daga gwamnatin tarayya har zuwa state har local government su dube talagawa da ido rahama. Don Allah gaskiya rayuwar mu ya kai intaha, kuma ba mu da inda za mu rayu.
What the family members said is that they are in a very painful situation. The teacher was an orphan and he left orphans to them, and they are going through very difficult time, and they are appealing to the government to do something in order to support these families, because their welfare is and their security is still under question mark, as struggle for survival is another problem for the family, and they are appealing on the federal government to intensify efforts to ensure that all these families that have been abducted are rescued alive. We'll be speaking to another sister of the deceased teacher who will be sharing her own experience with us. Mama Kiga mana sunanki.
Assalamu alaikum.
Suna
Fatima Isiyaku.
To ya kuka ji da hakuri ya kuke fama yanzu?
To ba abin da za mu ce sai mu gode wa Allah. Mu dai mun yi rashi. Da mun tashi marayu. Kuma yanzu gashi ya bar mana marayu. Amma ba abin da zan ce sai dai mu gode wa Allah. Yin Allah ne. Kuma yau dai mun samu baki daga gwamnati. Sun zo sun ɗan tallafa mana da ɗan wani abu kuma sun ce za su ɗauki nauyin yaran har makarantarsu su gama. To muna gode musu. Kuma amma muna roƙon gwamnati ta sake tashi tsaye ta kawo mana security don a guje irin wannan ya sake faruwa. Tunda a wajen aikinsa yana bautawa kasa Allah ya ɗora rayuwarsa shi ne maganar da zai.
Okay. My sister said it's a very painful experience that they are going through very difficult time, the family, and like the other family members said, it's an orphan and he left orphans to them, and there is the need on the Nigerian authorities to intensify efforts to support them and other families and ensure that security has been intensified to ensure people of Borno, people of the Northeast and other parts of the country are secured in this part of the world, because and she said the state government officials are also here. They supported them with financial support, and also the state government official led by the Commissioner for Education pledged to ensure the education of the 3 children of the deceased teacher with regard to their own education. But we have the NUT representative who has been here also to sympathize with them. So first, you tell us full name first.
Okay, my name is Torres Suleiman Bimena, District NUT Treasurer.
What is the concern? We continue to hear the death of teachers, the abduction of students. How does the NUT respond to this?
Really, the union is saddened. We are so sad. On a sad note, our union representing the teachers, and every day we're hearing that our teachers were killed while in active service or on their way to their workplaces. The state government, the federal government, the security agencies should intensify effort to see that insecurity is curtailed to the minimum barracks minimum.
I know it might be very tough, but do you have maybe figures that of teachers that have been affected over the years with regard to this?
Yes, really. About 15 years ago, with the start of this insurgency, over 600 and above teachers were killed while in active service.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll you the best. So, blessing, that has been the situation and the family residence of Bukari Isiaka, one of the teachers that was murdered while serving his country, while trying to impart knowledge to children at Government Day Secondary School, Lassa, in Askira Uba local government area of Borno State. The painful story of the families and everybody in the system.
All right, Umuru Kirawa, thank you so much for the updates. It's quite a sad development, honestly, and Umuru Kirawa is still live there and will be giving us more updates as it unfolds. You're live with us on the 12 Report. We go on a break now. Join us for more stories when we return. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, as the wet farming season gathers pace, the Kano State government has commenced the distribution of 150 truckloads of subsidized fertilizer to smallholder farmers in a bid to boost food production and cushion the impact of rising agricultural input costs. While the intervention has been widely welcomed, attention is now turning to its implementation. Questions remain over whether the fertilizer will reach the intended beneficiaries, how the distribution process is being monitored to prevent diversion, and whether the initiative will ultimately translate into lower food prices. News Central's Stephen Enoch is at the distribution venue in Kano and joins us live. Stephen, what is the situation there? What have you been able to gather so far?
Right, so the occasion is yet to comment because the governor is not here. Although we have some stakeholders here, we have some farmers here, and as you can see behind me, some of the trucks, there are 150 trucks, and the bags of fertilizer are 100,000 bags of fertilizer to be given to farmers across the 44 local government areas of Kano State. So now the question is, how will this translate to lower food prices in Kano State? I'm being joined by the All Farmers Association Chairman in Kano. His name is Sani Abubakar. So, Madam, ka gaya mana wannan tallafi da gwamnati yana kawo yanzu me zai inganta a rayuwar manomi?
Wannan taki da kun take raba kwarai zai inganta rayuwar manomi. Saboda yadda input suka yi tsada na kayan noma kuma ta ba shi akan rage farashin abin da ake sai da shi. Wannan zai kara inganta noma. Maimakon mutane tsadar Abuja ya hana yan kayan noma. Wasu ma sun janye daga noma. Wannan tallafin da gwamnati take bayarwa ya Allah zai ta ga sun dawo sun ci gaba da kan gefe su mata. Saboda dama abu ne ka sai da amfanin gonarka da sauƙi kuma ka zo ka sai da ka sai amfani da sai ga kayi asara. Wannan ta mutane za su gaba za su iya ci gaba da amma yanzu wani abin da gwamnati ke yi insha Allah zai sa a ci gaba da noman ko abin ke wadata a hankalin ana ci gaba da yi gwamnati sama da kasa suna yi insha Allah za ga abinci zai kasa a kai amfani gwamnati kasa kuma noma za ci gaba da yi za su samu mutane za su aiki ya kamata.
Ok, yanzu nawa ne buhu wannan take kuma a nawa gwamnati zai ba da manomi?
An ba da bayani za a bar shi a cikin kasai. Ba zai cewa ga wanda yake wanda take fitar na abin da gwamnati so shi za a biya wanda ta ci.
Okay, so he said that there are many farmers in Kano who can no longer farm because of the high price of fertilizer and all. And he's saying that this particular fertilizer that is going to be given is going to be given at 50% discount. And according to him, he doesn't know how much the price of a bag is. But from my discussion, I spoke with some stakeholders and they said a bag is around 70,000 naira and it might be given at maybe 35,000 naira. I have another question to ask him about how this will translate to lower food prices. So, Balasani, so taya wannan zai sa abinci farashin abinci ya rabi.
Ai wannan shi ne da farashin abinci zai rabu. Saboda me? Saboda kaga an ba mutane abin da sun sami shi da sauki maimakon abin da suke amfani da shi ya mai tsada ne. Kuma idan an samu yadda tallafi da ake samu abincin dole da rika yin kasa da yin dole in ka zo da hannun dole za ka kai shi kamar sauki inda ka samu kayan amfani da shi da ka tafi sauki ne insha Allah kai ma za ka sai da abin da ka sai.
Nagode. So that's Sani Abubakar, the chairman of All Farmers Association of Nigeria in Kano State. And I asked him a question, how will this translate to lower food prices? He said that the fact that people before they used to buy this fertilizer at, a very, very expensive price, like 7,000 naira, but now if it's at 50% discount, which is like 35,000 naira or more, that it will translate to lower food prices. So I believe for us to know more about this, we'll go to the field and, check and see how this will bring about lower food prices and to see which farmer will get that, to see how this, distribution will be given in transparency.
All right, thank you so much, Stephen Enoch, for the updates there. Now, the federal government has urged Nigerians to begin immediate preparations for possible flooding as the rainy season intensifies, warning that climate change has significantly altered the country's rainfall patterns and heightened flood risks across several states. The call was made by the Special Assistant to the President on Climate Change Matters, Yusuf Kelani, saying the recent flooding in Lagos and other parts of the country should serve as a wake-up call for governments, communities and citizens to prioritize disaster preparedness and climate resilience. He also said climate change is no longer a future environmental concern, but a present-day national development challenge requiring coordinated action at all levels. Now, the Lagos State government says it will allow the law to take its course over persistent flooding in the Ajiro area, blamed on environmental infractions linked to a land-owning family. Speaking on News Central's Breakfast Central, the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, said illegal activities obstructing natural waterways have worsened flooding in that area. Wahab noted that the government is intensifying efforts to address drainage challenges and enforce environmental regulations across the state.
Are seeing money rather than seeing the environment and humanity. We've seen land-owning families in some areas of Lagos choosing to do reclamations without approvals, choosing to push back nature without science. And the government had drawn a marker to say no, in as much as we have a context between urbanization and the environment, we must situate things in proper context to allow both live in the same ecosystem. I'll give an example of an area on the island called Agungi-Ajiro axis. If you go to Ajiro Road and some parts of Agungi, it's perpetually flooded with water. 2 years ago, in our reviewed master plan, we insisted, let us elevate the drains on the Ajiro Road. It's too narrow, it's too small to contain the water from those massive houses and volume that come up on the axis. And it was awarded. The contract is ongoing. We also said, because of the development on that corridor, the canal by Northern Foreshore, discharging through Chevron Drive by Ebano into the lagoon, we must put a proper infrastructure to help them discharge. And by Lekki Homes property to the right of it, at the tail end of that Chevron Drive, you can find and see the trapezoidal the government had provided to discharge into the lagoon. I was there a couple of times. And it was agreed, it was awarded. So the question was, why isn't this water level going down? And we had to go there after the sanitation on Saturday. We went there on Sunday. On getting there, oh, this is the picture, I believe. On getting there, what we saw was heart-wrenching. And the question was, how could people be so wicked to themselves? That's where they are from, most of them. We're not even disputing their land ownership. All we are saying is, how could you go and block the natural outlets for the rainwater to leave your town, your village, Ajiro, and the environs? How could you be so materialistic that all you have to think of?
And now, efforts to tackle rising house rents and recurring tenancy disputes in Kogi State have gathered momentum as the proposed tenancy bill continues to attract public attention. The legislation recently underwent a public hearing where stakeholders proposed several amendments aimed at strengthening the bill and ensuring better protection for both landlords and tenants. News Central's Mono Balagbogo has been speaking with residents about their expectations of the proposed law, and he joins us now live from Lokoja. Mono, what are the key provisions of the proposed bill? What are the residents saying that they wanted to achieve?
Good afternoon to you in the studio. We're live here at 200 housing units in Lokoja, Kogi State. And of course, talking about some of the key provisions of the Kogi Tenancy Bill. The bill is seeking, to help regulate the prices of rent and to also look at agreements, the issue of ensuring that for every transaction between residents and the landlord, there is proper agreement and documentation. And also the bill is also looking forward to regulate those who are also into properties in terms of estate managers and to ensure that every agent that is involved, in the housing sector in the state is well properly regulated. So let's just go ahead and talk to residents. We have someone who is a landlord and he will talk to us about his thoughts on this move to actually regulate the housing sector in Kogi State. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Kogi State House of Assembly is moving to regulate, housing crisis in Kogi State. What has been your experience like as a homeowner? Why are houses so expensive? And what do you think this move can do?
Yes, it was a general issue in the whole entire country right now. Because generally when we look at the situation of the economy of Nigerians, the building materials are very expensive. Some landlords were there laying a lot of complaints that the reason why they're increasing the house is due to the cost price of the building items. And you find some landlord that maybe the houses have been built for over 7 to 10 years, but then you have less cost of building material. But they keep increasing the houses every 12 months of the year. I believe it's abnormal to the nation, because the government won't really want to help the less privileged in the nation. They should have come in and go around the states, the local governments to assess the building and how the standard of the building is. Before a landlord can increase the house, I think it should be like 3 to 4 to 5 years, not increasing every 24 months of the year.
The issue of the house in Nigeria we are now is getting too much. House rent is too much money. When you talk to the landlord, they say the money of cement is too high, so they will add money to the house. So people are suffering about the house, how to accommodate, to find place to live their life because of that. So government should help us and give us some accommodation. That is our prayer for them.
The issue of house rent in Nigeria now is becoming something else, especially in Lokoja here. You see a house, an old house, that maybe they don't even work on it. You see, like for instance, my own house that I'm renting in 200 units here. In a year, they increase the rent 2 times in a year. Initially, we were paying 150, from 150 to 200. Presently, now we are paying 350 for the house, a room and parlor. So the issue of rent in Lokoja is becoming something else. It's becoming something else. At least before, you see house. You can see house in Lokoja, a room and parlor. You can see house of 100,000, 120, 80 that you can manage. But now, inside Kwararafa, you can see house of almost 800 to 1 million naira. So for just a room and parlor. So if there is any way government to come in to help us, we really appreciate, please.
All right, thank you very much. So it's back to you in the studio, right here in 200 housing unit. We've just been speaking to some market women here who sell food provisions, and they just told us about the challenges that they actually face with this issue of house rents and the high cost of getting an apartment here in Lokoja, Kogi State. And of course, from one of the owners of the house, he made mention of the very salient points of the rising cost of building materials. But at the same time, residents say that even for houses that are not renovated and even houses that are not even new, they still get to pay a lot, and it's really burdensome for them. We'll be following up with updates to see even when the bill is passed, so that residents here can actually breathe a breath of relief. Rather, it is back to you in the studio.
Thank you so much, Mono Balagwego, for the updates from Kogi State. You're live with us on the 12 Report. We go on a break now. Join us for more stories when we return. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, for many Edo residents, the fear of kidnapping and cult-related violence has become an unsettling part of daily life, affecting businesses, worship centers, and even movement within communities. Now, the establishment of a special criminal court dedicated to trying such offences is raising fresh hopes that justice may finally come faster for victims and their families. News Central's Edo State correspondent Amenze Bazwaye reports.
For months, kidnapping and cult-related violence have dominated conversations across Edo State, leaving many communities gripped by fear. Now, the state's response is entering a new phase, following Governor Monday Ukpeolu's call for a dedicated court to handle kidnapping and courtesan cases. The Chief Judge of Edo State, Justice Daniel Okumbowa, has approved the establishment of Special Criminal Court 1 to accelerate the trial of such offences. The development follows the governor's insistence that criminal cases must be concluded without unnecessary delays.
We are going to set up a special court to try kidnappers and cultists, and I will sign it. Your execution, hanging, I will take you to the roundabout, that is Ring Road roundabout, so that the whole Edo people will see you.
The initiative has drawn widespread support from different segments of society.
The rate at which crime has been evolving around the state, it is an alarming one. For the governor to come at this time to curb it is a right step in the right direction.
Setting up that court, following all the constitution as regards to those areas, is a good one. But the public execution, I believe it will have a negative effect to the viewers around.
The said special court must act strictly in adherence to fair hearing. That is the purpose of justice.
The daylight robbery, the kidnapping, the insecurity in Edo State, to an extent, would be curbed.
If he work, he go stop all this kidnapper and all this thief. If they really find them guilty, make they carry them go there. May all this thief will stop.
Former Edo State Governor and Senator representing Edo North, Adams Oshomole, also described the move as a welcome development, commending Governor Ukpeolu's efforts to confront insecurity in the state.
Kidnapping and murder fall within the state offenses, and he has decided to replace hanging with fiery squad. Let's go! Those who don't want to suffer that should not come to Edo State.
But while the establishment of the court has been largely applauded, legal opinions remain divided on some aspects of the governor's proposal.
Cannot deprive a man of right of his appeal. He has a right. So it's not feasible to try a criminal for 2 weeks, get judgment, execute in Ring Road. All those things are political statements.
As Edo prepares for the commencement of the Special Criminal Court, expectations are high that the initiative will not only accelerate justice, but also reinforce the rule of law in the state's ongoing battle against violent crime. In Edo, for News Central, Ameze Bazwai.
And to business, car dealers across Nigeria say they are adopting a wait-and-see approach following the federal government's implementation of a new grain tax surcharge on imported vehicles. The new policy, which took effect on Wednesday, introduces an environmental levy on imported vehicles alongside reductions in import adjustment taxes. The government says the measures are designed to cut carbon emissions, promote cleaner vehicles, and align Nigeria with global environmental standards. The Association of Motor Dealers of Nigeria says dealers have only received unofficial information about the new tax and reduced import duties, pending further clarification from the government. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria has limited the suspension of certain contractual obligations during the resolution of failing banks to a maximum of 2 business days, providing greater certainty for financial markets. The directive, which took effect on the 1st of July, clarifies the application of Section 34 and 40 of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020. According to the Apex Bank, the guidance is designed to reduce uncertainty for banks, financial institutions, and counterparties while strengthening commercial risk management. The clarification follows the recent revocation of licenses of 46 inactive and insolvent microfinance banks. Now, the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat has signed a 20-year concession agreement with Nigerian technology firm Bergman's Security Consultant and Supplies Limited to deploy a $3.1 billion customs modernization project aimed at strengthening Africa's $3.4 trillion trademark. The initiative will create an interoperable customs platform to harmonize border processes, reduce clearance delays, and improve cross-border trade across member states. AFCFTA's Secretary General Wamkele Mene said the project will simplify trade, especially for SMEs, while Bashir Adeni said it will boost efficiency, compliance, revenue generation, and regional economic integration. South Africa's automotive industry has launched a year-long campaign to inspect and replace about 1.7 million potentially defective Takata airbags still fitted in vehicles across the country. Led by the National Association of Automobile Manufacturers of South Africa, in partnership with the Road Traffic Management Corporation and the National Consumer Commission, the initiative runs until June 2027. The industry aims to inspect at least 300,000 vehicles through community outreach, VRN checks, and public awareness campaigns. Car makers are also considering incentives, including grocery vouchers and fuel rewards, to improve owner participation after previous recall campaigns recorded response rates below 50%. You're live with us on the 12 Report. We go on yet another break, and when we come back, we've got more stories. Do stay with us. Now, at least 13 people have been killed and more than 30 injured after Russia launched overnight missile and drone attacks on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, in one of the latest waves of strikes in the conflict. Ukrainian emergency officials and Kyiv's military administration said hundreds of drones and dozens of missiles were launched overnight. Ukraine's Air Force said many were intercepted, but several struck targets across the capital. Russia's defense ministry said the attacks targeted defense and energy facilities in response to recent Ukrainian strikes on Russian infrastructure. The assault came after President Volodymyr Zelensky warned of a possible large-scale Russian attack based on newly received intelligence. For more on this, I'm joined by our senior international correspondent and anchor, Afia Hagen. Afia, this was not a routine overnight strike. Ukraine says that Russia launched 74 missiles and almost 500 drones. What does the scale of this attack tell us about Moscow's strategy right now?
Your routine attack in a war that's been going on for a number of years now. The fact that President Zelensky gave a warning that Russia was planning this huge strike, and a huge strike it was trying to do three things at once, I think. It was trying to overwhelm Ukraine's air defense systems. It was trying to punish Kiev psychologically and also send a political message to Ukraine's allies that Russia is still strong, that they are still fighting this war. So this combined attack, the drones, the cruise missiles and the ballistic missiles, was very strong. Like you said, 74 missiles and almost 500 drones, and definitely designed to stretch Ukraine's defense systems to breaking point. Now, the defense systems did intercept quite a few of the many incoming strikes, but the strikes that did make the target killed 13 people and injured at least 80 more. That's according to the latest reporting. Strategically, it's also about momentum for Russia. Russia has been under quite intense pressure from Ukraine's more effective and increasingly more effective, actually, long-range missile systems. And so this was the bite back from the Russian military.
Now, Kyiv is calling this a night of horror, with residential buildings hit, people trapped under rubble, and at least 13 people have reportedly died so far. How significant is the civilian impact here?
Well, the civilian impact is really essential to this whole story. It's not just a military headline about missiles and drones and interceptions. It's a night of people being trapped in their homes. It's a night of 13 people dying, of nearly 80 people injured. It's about emergency workers digging through the rubble, trying to find people in the devastation. It's also about the breadth of the attack, you know, how far and wide it took place across Ukraine's capital city. More than 30 damaged locations that included apartment buildings, residential buildings, hotels, a medical facility, an ambulance station as well. Emergency workers, were also amongst those who were injured. So absolutely, the human toll is central to this story.
Now, Ukraine is demanding a strong international response and, crucially, more air defense support. Is this attack likely to increase pressure on Western allies to send more Patriot systems and interceptors?
Yes, it absolutely will increase that pressure. And the Ukraine will argue that this attack is the prime evidence that they need to say, look, we need more air defense, we need more interceptors, and we need them quickly. It's not just about what they need, it's how quickly they will be delivered. So this will definitely put pressure on their allies, the UK, France, and all the other allies as well. The Ukrainian foreign minister has urged partners to speed up their defense support and to speed up the delivery of them as well as asking for more support with Patriot systems, with interceptors. All these things are expensive, but the Ukraine definitely needs them, especially after last night's attack, and they will certainly use that as the evidence to support their pleas.
Before we let you go, Afia, Russia says these strikes are aimed at military and infrastructure targets, but the images from Kiev show damaged homes, emergency crews, and people being pulled from rubble. How does this shape the international narrative around the war?
Russia can claim that they are targeting military sites all they want, but last night was evidence that that's not the case. Like I said, it was apartment buildings, a hotel, a medical facility, even an ambulance station that was hit in these attacks, which resulted in civilian casualties and injuries. And so, like I said, this will definitely shape that narrative that although Russia is saying, look, we attack military facilities, it's quite plain that that is not what they're doing. And the international community will see that and respond accordingly.
All right, News Central Senior International Correspondent Afia Egan, thank you so much for joining us. Now, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is set to issue a formal apology to thousands of women affected by the UK's historical forced adoption policy. The apology follows years of campaigning by mothers, adoptees and their families over a practice that saw an estimated 185,000 babies taken from unmarried women between 1949 and 1976. A parliamentary inquiry found that government policies created an environment where many women were shamed and pressured into giving up their children for adoption. Campaigners are meeting the Prime Minister at Downing Street ahead of a statement to Parliament. The inquiry also called for easier access to adoption records and greater support for families seeking to reconnect after decades of separation. And that's all on the 12 Report today. Do send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen because we want to see what you see. Follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Musugu.